Shields up, Iron Breakers. Work here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter. And today, before I actually start my Final Fantasy XIV stream, I want to talk a little bit about the current situation that we are living with Monster Hunter World Iceborne about to come out next month. And just, there has been quite a number of leaks. And basically everybody's jumping on it. Everybody needs to know everything right now. And it kind of brought about a realization that I've always had, really. It's something that I think about constantly, and it's one of the reasons why whenever you see a video from me right before I talk about what I consider to be sensitive information, I'll be like, okay, here comes the spoilers. Now I'm going to talk about this thing, and I'm very careful about not putting that stuff on thumbnails or video titles or just about anything that can be considered a spoiler or something that would bring players joy for discovering it the first time in the actual game. These are things that I avoid putting on my videos. And as a content creator, it is quite the balancing act to, really do what I want to do versus a lot of the times the things that I have to do and to talk about the things that I have to talk about. And when it comes to stuff that comes ahead of games, I'm of the mind that it's like, look, I get it. There's always going to be leaks. There's always going to be information that gets disseminated through non-official channels. And it's like there are certain games where those things are important, that it is important to talk about them, particularly games from a lot of AAA publishers nowadays that have been doing some really shady shit, like Bethesda, Electronic Arts, Take-Two Interactive, and I could go on and on, Activision, Blizzard, all of these companies that have been doing some really shady shit. And leaks in those particular situations I find to be extremely important because they set expectations. They allow us to talk about potential problems that can happen in the game and whether start the discussion of whether or not this game is worth it for its consumer base, if it is taking into account, what people kind of expect of that video game, if it is fair, if it is chock full of microtransactions and shady practices and gambling mechanics and stuff to just keep you, like, addicted on a psychological level. Like, there's been a lot of other content creators talking about that kind of stuff, which is why I've kind of slowly been moving away from that particular aspect of it. But anyway, I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. The point here is, right now there's a lot of new information that has come out for Monster Hunter World. I'll be talking about the information that was officially revealed through people going to events and actually experience some of the content and revealing some of that content that the developers find adequate to reveal, even though I would prefer them to just stop. Just stop revealing things, because here's the thing. Like, if by the time you get to Iceborne, you already know who the secret boss is going to be after Velkhana, if you already know all the different species that are going to show up, if you already know every monster that is going to be in the game, then what is then left for you to be surprised by? If you already know the story, if you already know the plots, if you already know anything, like, what is then left for you to discover? That's kind of like the point that I'm at, and I've actually seen a tweet a while back from Gaijin Hunter, who was saying we've come to a point where I just want to isolate myself. I don't want to hear any other news about the game. I just want to experience it once it comes out. And I've kind of been like that pretty much since the initial announcement of Iceborne. I'm like, cool. We're getting a new expansion. There's going to be new stuff. That's all I need to know. And I understand that with Monster Hunter World coming into the limelight, so to speak, in 2018, with a lot of people coming into the franchise for the very first time, that it is particularly hard, to kind of avoid the situation that we're in right now. We're basically, like, saturated. There's so many people wanting to know just about everything and anything about the game. And there's a lot of people concerned about the DLC because they misinterpreted some of the things that were said by developers. Developers said, we're going to be continuing to support the game with free DLC, which they did. And now people were expecting a G rank level expansion to be free, which is ridiculous. And I understand that, again, a lot of people don't actually know what a G rank expansion is, despite the fact that I've made a video specifically talking about it and going into great detail as to like the number of additions that you can expect from a G rank expansion. You basically have to see it to actually believe it, I guess. And people that haven't experienced previous Monster Hunter games, they're not going to trust Capcom. Because, you know, at the end of the day, Capcom is still the same company that released games like Street Fighter V and some other fighting titles that had some questionable DLC practices. But this is one of the reasons why whenever I talk about Monster Hunter, I specifically call out Monster Hunter Team, because they are a team inside Capcom. And I usually tend to avoid talking about Capcom as a whole. I talk about the individual teams, like the Dragon's Dogma team. Whoever worked on Dragon's Dogma, that was fantastic. The DMC team. Whoever worked on DMC5, that was fantastic. The Monster Hunter team. Whoever has been working on the Monster Hunter games, that's fantastic. But all this to say that I understand that people are suspicious because of, again, AAA practices that we've had over the past couple of months, even years, in the industry. And it is understandable that they are suspicious. But had you have experienced the previous Monster Hunter games, I feel that people wouldn't be as demanding with information, being like, I want to know exactly how many monsters are going to be there. I want to know how many Elder Dragons. And it's like, I don't want to know any of these things because I already know from previous experience with previous titles in the franchise that it's going to be worth it. I already know it's going to be worth it. And at this point, I just want the product itself. I just want to actually experience everything firsthand, because if I go in there and I already know all of the monsters that I'm going to be fighting, then I'm not going to be surprised. If I already know all of the new mechanics that are going to be coming into the game, then I'm not going to have a chance to actually react to them for the very first time. And that is something that, to me, the joy of discovery is something that I feel the current generation of gamers, they just don't look at video games the same way that I do. Or the same way that maybe a lot of us do. I don't know. Because a lot of times I do get people that tell me that they feel similarly to me. I'm not sure if that is going to be the case in this particular situation. But basically all of this is to say that I will most likely only report on stuff that is revealed from official sources. And I don't really intend to engage in leaks or anything like that throughout the entire lifespan of Monster Hunter World. I have not engaged in that, even though, you know, there's been lots of leaks from data mines and all of this other stuff. I only talk about stuff when it either hits the game or when it is revealed by official sources. And again, I almost wish that official sources wouldn't reveal as much. Like, there's something to be said for experiencing something for the very first time in a video game. And I just kind of wish that we went more down those lines as opposed to just like, oh no, I need to know everything that is in a video game before I actually start playing it. You know, because it just doesn't make sense. Like, video games are supposed to be about discovery, about exploration, about engaging in stuff and being surprised by what is happening. If you already know everything, then why are you even playing? It's like going in to watch Game of Thrones when you already know how it is going to end, which can still be nice if you're doing like a rerun or something. Like, I know that I tend to watch the Star Wars movies, the original trilogy, naturally, at least once a year, sometimes more often, just because I like those stories and I like reliving them. But naturally, nothing is ever going to beat the first time that I've experienced them, just like nothing is ever going to beat the first time that I've ever played Dark Souls 1. Like, that was a unique experience. That was the first time that I played it. Nothing's going to beat the first time that I've played Demon Souls. Doesn't matter how many times I play through Demon Souls, no playthrough is going to be as magical as the very first one. Which is why I feel like a lot of people are robbing themselves of the experience that they can have by being exposed to all these leaks. And at the same time, I would ask fellow content creators to at least avoid, you know, stuff that isn't officially revealed. Avoid at least placing it in the title and in the thumbnail. Like, a good example, for instance, is Dark Hero CC. He made a video talking about some of these leaks, and all he says in his title is like, new Elder Dragon revealed, and he doesn't reveal anything in the thumbnail. That's the good way to do it. Like, if you want to cover that content, that is the proper way to do it. Don't give away, stuff that people might not want to know, and just inform people like, look, here's the stuff that's going to be discussed with clear spoilers, warnings in this video. I actually ended up not watching the video because of the big spoiler warning, and I don't want to spoil myself. I'm going to try to avoid that to the best of my ability, but at the end of the day, I already know that being someone that live streams a lot and that checks comment sections and that constantly interacts with the internet, it's unavoidable. I'm going to get spoiled to this information, but at the same time, I'm going to try not to contribute to spoiling other people to the same thing. That's pretty much how I feel about that stuff. Having said that, I would like to do a quick mention on the stuff that has been officially revealed. So if you do not want to know, if you're on the live stream right now, then just mute for 2 minutes or something as I talk about this stuff. But by the time that I'm done, I'll just maximize the gameplay window, so when you see that, it should be safe. But I'm just going to talk about the 3 new subspecies that were announced. And if you're on the video, thank you for watching all that stuff. You can bail out now if you don't want to know about the new subspecies. But for those of you that still don't know, I'm going to talk about those now. There's been 3 new subspecies announced for Monster Hunter World. The new subspecies are Viper Tobikadachi, which is basically a Tobikadachi that does a lot of poison damage, a lot of poison attacks. I actually forget was it Coral Puke Puke, which is a Puke Puke that instead of having poison is going to shoot out water. And it actually looks real cool. He's got some really wicked cool animations and new moves and stuff like that, which really show you that subspecies are much more than just reskins, as some people are calling them, which is dumb to just call a subspecies a reskin. It's clearly not the case, particularly with these new ones that have been shown, as well as Fulgoranjnath and Nebnio Dogron. They have very different mechanics. And finally, the third one that was announced was Nightshade Paolumu, I think was the name of it. And it is a purple Paolumu, and instead of him just blowing out air, he actually blows out clouds of sleep, so that you can sleep you, and then he can beat the crap out of you. And naturally, all of these subspecies also have more aggressive behavior, different moveset patterns, all of this stuff. They're almost like new monsters, but naturally they share the skeleton with their predecessors. But yeah, these are some of the monsters that we'll be able to fight when Iceborne comes around. In regards to all of the other information, the leaked stuff and whatnot, I'm not really going to comment on it. However, I will say there is a very good video that does not go into spoiler territory, but it talks about some of the new things that are in the meta of the game. I'm going to be linking that video in chat for people that want to know about that stuff, because I could basically just take the information that this guy said and regurgitate it back to you, but that would be stupid, and that would be pretty much stealing content from another content creator. So I'd rather shout him out. This is from a guy called CeraCymmetry, and he's done a really, really, really good video. A really good video talking about the meta of the game. Some changes to skills, like, to give you guys an example, one of the skills, by the way, you can find the video if you're watching this on YouTube in the description. One of the examples that he talks about is, for starters, there's going to be 4 tier 4 decorations. So right now you have decorations that are level 2, level 3. In Iceborne, we're going to have level 4. One of those that he talks about is there's an artillery decoration, and now it's like my right eye started twitching when he mentioned artillery decoration. Because, it took me, 10 years or something before I got my very first artillery decoration. So the fact that I'm going to be now grinding for a for a level 4 artillery decoration is no, please. But the level 4 decoration essentially gives you 2 to the artillery skill, so that is going to be something that is important. Another example of changes in the meta are, for instance, the weakness exploit, which apparently the skill weakness exploit is changed, that instead of giving you flat out plus 50% affinity, it gives you what's it called? It gives you 30% affinity when you max it out. But as a bonus, if the part of the monster that you are attacking is tenderized, through the use of the clutch claw, it will give you the additional 20%. So they're trying to find ways to interweave things that you have to do to actually get full benefit of certain skills. And there's a lot more stuff like that that is discussed in that particular video. So I would advise you guys to check it out. However, before I finish this off in regards to that video, I would like to bring up a point. Let me just switch into presentation mode here. I would like to bring up a point. Oops, that's the wrong screen. Which is, this is his video. And here at the end, I'll just show this bit of the video because I believe that he's made that his thoughts on this are a little bit wrong, and I'll say why.
The hunter is fighting with the insect glaive against the new Viper Tobikadachi, and he's going to use the clutch claw in a second. Watch the icon. You notice how the X goes over the mantle? That's showing he's not consuming the mantle. He's not actually using any part of the mantle in the slightest. So that means that your mantles will still persist if you use the...
So you can see, I mean, the resolution is not very good, but you can see that there's an X on top of the mantle whenever he performs the clutch claw. Now, in the video, the point that CeraCymmetry makes is that this is to prevent your mantle from expiring while you are doing mounting stuff and whatnot. My conclusion, however, is quite different. This is to prevent you from spamming clutch claw while you are using a mantle. Because basically, I mean, if I have Rocksteady, right, I can just jump on top of a monster and do my clutch claw attacks regardless of what else can happen because I'm wearing Rocksteady mantle. Same thing with temporal, right? You can jump on top of the monster and you're going to dodge everything that the monster does through the nature of having a temporal mantle, which basically makes these mantles a little bit too powerful in the context of using the clutch claw because you can just spam it through the duration of the mantle without any real consequence. I mean, with Rocksteady, you still take damage, but you're not really punished by getting dismounted. I think that the purpose of them nullifying mantles while you are doing this is precisely to prevent people from abusing the clutch claw, and so that if a monster does a move that would normally dismount you, even if you have the temporal mantle or the Rocksteady mantle, then you will still get dismounted. That is what I think the point of that is. But either way, that is pretty much all that I wanted to talk about in regards to Monster Hunter. Hopefully, a lot of you guys will avoid the spoilers so that you can actually get surprised and enjoy the expansion to its fullest extent. But if you do, I'm not really going to judge you. I'm personally going to try to avoid it to the best of my ability, even though I know that it is going to get spoiled sooner or later. Either way, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, all of the usual stuff. Remember, check out in the description the link to CeraCymmetry's video if that is something that you guys want to check out. Thank you very much for watching. Stay strong. May your shields never break.